4 never changes. But sometimes really shitty game releases do. And this here is the tale of one such game, risen from the ashes of a wasteland and rebuilt into something playable and, dare I say, enjoyable. This is the tale of Fallout 76, a Wasteland rebuilt, a 2021 review in progress. But first, let's get into the history of things, starting with Fallout 3. So I've been a fan of Fallout, the series, since the 360 days with Fallout 3 when that first came out. I've been a fan of Bethesda since I picked up Morrowind on the original Xbox on a whim, and I fell in love with the genre. And then they moved on to Fallout 3 when they acquired that property, and I played the shit out of that game. All the DLCs, everything you could do in that game, I've done. What was it? Mothership Zeta, the Pit for Pittsburgh, the Faraway Harbor, I think. I don't know, they had a bunch. Then Fallout 4, when that came out, I played the shit out of that as well. Fallout has been one of my favorite franchises for a long time running. And Bethesda in general, Fallout, Elder Scrolls, their games have always come with launch bugs, launch issues, and just a volley of problems that, as a Fallout fan, you come to expect. As a Bethesda fan, and as just an old ass gamer like myself, you come to expect those things. So when I heard that Bethesda and Fallout were branching out into the online multiplayer world, I was on board as far as on paper goes, and I expected it to launch the way it did, basically, honestly. And we all know how that went. It came out, it was messy, let's just leave it at that. It was messy. I never got the game. I didn't touch it. Not because of the hype and then the inevitable fall. Much like Cyberpunk 77, I wasn't really into the initial launch of it, but I had high hopes for 76. Here we are about 2 years later or so. They've definitely addressed their major bugs. They've addressed most of the issues that players had with the game in the first couple years. I picked it up on sale for $15, so I can't be mad at that. Hopped into it, and it was exactly what I expected right off the bat. It's Fallout. If you love Fallout, this is it. It's Fallout single player, but in an open world with other people who are also playing single player. So they found a way to keep it Fallout. They brought back the camp building and the the whole settler sort of build your own camp thing, but they've localized it to just sort of your own survival camp in this. But that said, it's my favorite part of the game. The first draw for me to the game was the fact that you can just put a camp down and start building. Now, initially, your options are limited, and you have to learn plans for building things by either buying them from the shop or doing missions and unlocking them through those means or finding them in the world. There's lots of ways. I bought most of mine from player vendors, and a lot of times you can find players who sell really good stuff and really rare stuff for super cheap. And that's how I got most of my plans. But all in all, the whole building, customization, camp aspect of the game is my favorite thing. That's my favorite thing to do, is just build stuff in a world. They have all kinds of really fun, kooky little items that you can use for decoration. They got allies. You can get friends missions from. You can get, as you can see, there's like a robot that collects stuff for you. There's all the things that are present in basically the Fallout 4 settlement building are present here. There's some restrictions, there's little bugs, there's glitches, and that's all well and good. For the most part, I picked the game up and I haven't stopped playing it for a good 2 or 3 months. I've just hit it head on and haven't stopped. I've built several camps, and Like I said, that's my favorite part of the game. It's Fallout. What can you say? I play like a stealth ranged character, so I always am just running around crouched and invisible and popping shots at stuff until it dies. But it's Fallout. They've kind of restructured the way that the special points work, and everything works in a way that makes sense to an online multiplayer game. There's PvP. There is pacifist, so if you don't want to be killed by random trolls or whatever, you can turn that on, and then you can't take damage from other players. There's basically all the elements that are available in most online multiplayer games. Raids, you go through the missions, you go through the side quests, you go through all of that, and then once you're done with that, it's just a repeatable grind for dailies, for legendaries, for challenges, things like that. The typical online multiplayer fare, but it's set in the Fallout world. Now, it's 2021. I didn't play this game until right at the beginning of this year. So I got lucky. I mean, I came into the game pretty much fixed. So I don't have any of the gripes that many players might have. I came into it as a fresh player, loving Fallout and knowing the history of this title's launch. That said, if you can get it for sale, like I did, go for it. That's the best way. I mean, that way you don't... I couldn't see paying full price for this game at this point. That said, if you do get it on sale, you're probably going to get into it, and you're going to be tempted to spend money in the game's online mechanics. So that's one aspect that most people groan about and hate, is microtransactions and online currency. It does exist in this game. From what I can see, as far as the base shop goes, there's no version of pay to win as far as the base atomic shop goes. So it's all cosmetic items, camp items, things that you can live without. They are cool, sometimes they're lame, but most of the time there's some really cool stuff. That said, there is I don't want to call it pay to win because it doesn't actually help you win, but there is a pay for convenience sort of monthly subscription thing that is... I don't know how monthly subscriptions go for most games that have them these days, so I don't know if it's expensive or not, but it's like $12 a month. But with that $12, you get $15 in-game cash to spend every month, and then you get free items, you get a survival tent, and the part that everybody complains about or says is broken or pay to win would be the survival tent / scrap box. With that, you have an unlimited place to store your scrap and your junk. And if you play the game for more than 5 minutes, you will understand that basically you're over encumbered all the time. You're always grabbing scraps, you're always grabbing junk, you got to break the junk down to scraps, and then you're still heavy. You're always fighting with your weight management. And if you pay for the subscription, then you get the survival tent and the scrap box, and that allows you to place the survival tent anywhere, almost at any time in the world, as well as to use the scrap box, which automatically scraps all your junk and stores it in an unlimited capacity. This is game breaking, so that's why people kind of scoff at it. However, if you're into the game and the world and you know you're going to be spending the time on it anyway, it's not a bad move if you're into the game, because it does make a difference. I played for about 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and I was only 2 days into the game before I was just over encumbered the entire time, and it made sense. So that's on you, whether it's worth it or not. Otherwise, as far as the game goes, solid. I'm loving it. I haven't put it down. I understand that it used to be pretty empty and boring, but now it's alive. It's full. There's plenty of things to do. There's plenty of things to like build, look for, work for, different builds you can make, and there's more coming. There's plenty of more coming. So it's a great it's a great choice in this line of games, especially if you've been playing something else and you've gotten bored, but you like the open world kind of customization options. You can build your own character, like in Fallout. You get to dress yourself. You've got all your armor, your crafting. You've got all your perks and your skills. You've got leveling up. You've got everything you want from a Fallout game, plus online. You can play with your friends. I finally found a friend to play with, and me and him have been spending hours upon hours just playing, running. I run a shop in the game. I love selling stuff as a vendor. I love building camps and finding unique locations to build unique camps. I usually will build a camp and then spend a couple days building it, perfecting it, and then spend about a week living in it, and then I'll get bored and I'll start working on another one. All the while, I'm also, I've got a shop set up, so I'm selling stuff, and then I'm running, daily things and working towards getting items that I would like to build in my camp, and building my character up, and doing, weapon grinds and things like that. So, if that's your bag, this is not a bad choice. It's in 2021 right now, as it stands. Fallout 76 is a solid title, and it has fully redeemed itself. As the title suggests, it is a Wasteland rebuilt. That's that. That's all I've got to say about the game. Hope to see you out there in the Wasteland. You know where to find me on the socials and on PlayStation. And I do subscribe to Fallout first, so I have access to the private server. That's another thing I left out. If you pay, you also get access to your own private server for you and up to 8 friends, which means you can run your grinds, you can run your junk routes and all that without worrying about somebody else going through and picking up items or glitching things out. So, that said, hope to see you out there in the Wasteland. Stop by the shop if you see me online or if you see me on the map. And we'll see you next time. Alright, guys. Thanks for watching. That's my baby. Love you, bye!
Well, well. We've been having a little discussion with your friends here. Word around the water cooler is you found Crane's treasure. Good for you. Time to cover your end of the deal. Pay up. I don't believe you. You tell me what you found, or I'll splatter paint this lovely building with you and your friends. A weapon. Singular. Let me see it. That's it? Fine. You give me that, I suppose we can call it even. Unless you can make me a better offer. Fine. You don't want to share willingly? Works for me. Kill him. Hey, you need to try harder. Big mistake.
I suppose that could have gone a lot worse. Honey, why don't you and I have a little chat while I try and stop my hands from shaking? I guess that went about as well as it could have. Though I do wish maybe you hadn't struck a deal with them in the first place. At least they're out of our hair. For the time being.